What's up, guys? Kevin Allen here, and as many of you know, today we launched our beta version of the new, faster Domination Station MLB optimization tool, server-side optimization, which is, again, a lot faster. This is just a small component of a much larger, all-around update for MLB that we're working on right now. So I don't want to go too overboard with kind of tutorialing this version just yet, but who doesn't like a little bit of live showing how we use the Domination Station to create stacked lineups for MLB? So I figured I'd just take the opportunity to kind of go through pretty much everything that you need to do on the Dom Station for MLB, setting up lineups. I'm going to include an edit lineup function in this little video as well. So we're going to go start to finish the current setup as it is using the Domination Station. We'll check out server-side optimization. It's a lot faster, and I'll give you a little bit of an idea of how I set up, not just how I set up my lineups and my stacks, but also how you can kind of pick out some of these lineups and stacks, although I don't want to get too deep into that. Again, we have another massive update coming in the next few days, maybe next week or so, depending on when this one goes live. We have to wait. Part of the process of updating software engineering is you update something, you give it a few days, make sure you're not dealing with any bugs or anything like that, and then do the next one. So that's kind of where we're at this moment. Now, here we go. What I'm doing right now is I've already made 150 lineups for the night slate for tonight, which is this 5-game slate. And what I have to do now is edit them. So we're doing MLB. So the basics of MLB is as follows. We want to stack lineups. Now, there's a couple of different approaches to stacking. I'm going to use the randomized hitter stacks for now because that's just what I generally use. And this is a smaller slate. I'm going to go 4-3 with it. That's usually how I do my stacks. I know some other people want to do 5-3 or 5-2 or 4-4. All good, whatever you want to do. I don't like 4-4 or 5-3 because when you do this, what ends up happening is there's just no leeway in the lineup in case some things happen, like, for example, neither team has a shortstop or only one has a shortstop or the prices don't fit. So I like to leave a little bit of leeway for that one player, because like I said, we've had situations where there's only so many eligible players eligible for certain positions, or if there were fewer games than 5, sometimes you run in situations where the pitcher needs to really face some batters in your lineup, and that's not good. So I'm not allowing opposing pitchers. There are 5 games. I feel like that's enough. Looking at these games, it's pretty clear which ones are the quote-unquote exciting ones and which ones are not. Arizona, Colorado, very high game total. Seattle, KC, Oakland, Baltimore, fairly high game totals. And then you have these 2 games with very low totals. Let's look over at the pitchers. Sure, you've got Kershaw facing the Giants, so not super excited about the Giants here. Woodruff, who I like a lot, is facing San Diego, so not super excited about San Diego, right? And these are the 2 bad games anyway. You've got the rest of these guys. So you've got the worst of the pitchers. I think this Gabriel, I'm assuming this guy, let's see. Actually, I don't know. So let's take a look. Gabriel Inoa. Okay. One of the things I like to do, be able to check certain things. So let's jump over to this slate. We're looking at the 9:40 p.m. By the way, I know by the time you guys are checking this out, this will be full already, but super fun to attack this size contest. I just want to show you something real quick. $1 entry, 15% to first, 34% to top 10, min cash 2x. The structure of this contest is literal perfection for daily fantasy purposes. This is exactly the type of contest structure we always want. The size is good, the structure, the payouts, everything is great. So just a heads up on that. Now, let's take a look at some of these player names. I'm just going to keep this thing open. I'm going to check out the pitchers available. Let's see this Gabriel guy, what his deal is. Not so good, losing a lot of games, giving up a lot of runs, right? 3 runs, 5.2 ERA. Not good. Not good. So this team, let's go back to the Dom. He's on Baltimore. Makes us like Oakland, basically. So write down Oakland, one team to stack. Okay, we've got another cheap pitcher. Let's see what his deal is. Terrible 10-game log. Oh, he's had some decent games as well. Mixed in with some very bad games this season. Pretty high ERA. You know, I'm just looking at some basic stuff, trying to figure out which teams we're going to stack. We have this going on the main slate, our coaches' notes and things like that. And there's some other things I'm going to show you here. But the point is, Arizona, a very good team anyway. I'm going to include Arizona in our stacks, right? This guy, Kikuchi, nothing special. Hasn't had great games. Couple of good games earlier this year, so could go either way. This is a guy facing Seattle. He's Seattle. He's facing KC, so KC becomes an optional stack team right there. Anderson, Baltimore. Baltimore, very exciting player. This Brett Anderson guy does not look terrible at all. Decent ERA, put up some decent numbers, super cheap. So Brett Anderson is a pitching option. And I don't mind Baltimore for stacks as well. Here's another Anderson. He's facing Kershaw. He's not terrible. It's actually pretty good. 3.97 ERA. Let's see. 6 innings, 7 innings. Looking pretty decent lately. Hits against, runs, strikeouts, just all right. Nothing special here. He is facing the Dodgers. Dodgers are playable. Okay, Homer Bailey. Seattle, I read something out of Chop, who is our Kansas City expert. St. Louis? Midwest? I don't know. Said that Bailey is playable because Seattle lost a bunch of their high-end players. Fine by me. Not going to get super excited about this guy, but he has had a good game, at least one recently, so we'll get a little bit of exposure, but we also want to stack against him, so we can do some Seattle as well. You know, as you're going up this list, seems like a lot of teams to stack, but if we're making 150, we really have to, you know, have a little bit of exposure across the board. This guy, don't know anything about him. Hasn't played. Now he's starting, coming off the DL. San Diego. So Milwaukee is interesting. That's interesting. Who the hell? Yeah. Now, Merrill Kelly. Not great pitching. This guy Kelly looks pretty good, though. He's been, look at that. Diamondbacks, they are home versus Colorado. We still want to use some Colorado, but not too excited about him. Secondary. They're facing a good pitcher, and they're on the road. Now we get to our two studs. Woodruff facing a terrible San Diego team. Woodruff has been, you know, good up and down, but maybe a little more good than bad. Looks solid. Have a ton of him on the early slate, so hopefully he does well. And Kershaw is the stud of the slate. We're going to pay up. He is a very high floor pitcher. He gets a lot of strikeouts, 8, 6. He gets a decent number of them. And while on the larger slate, we might not have wanted to pay up because you're not going to win the tournament by paying up for the most expensive pitcher most of the time, because there will be a cheaper pitcher who does okay. In a shorter slate, that changes, and actually it's not a bad idea to get. We certainly want some exposure to that pitcher. Let me look at a couple other things here. This is on the lineups page, DFS Army. You have your notes from the coaches. See, everybody likes these guys. These are the main slate stuff, so I don't want to get too deep into it, although I do like to look and see if any of these teams, like I think Texas, Oakland is on this. Yeah, here we go. Texas, Oakland is on this late slate, so we can take a look at that. Kansas, KC is on this late slate. Let's see what Matt had to say about these stacks and see which ones. Here we go. Again, Kansas, we've got the Dodgers, Oakland, Arizona, core play. So there we go. That's confirmation. We got Arizona, Kansas, Oakland, Dodgers. Arizona, KC, Oakland, LAD. Yeah, we're going to put underlines. What about Baltimore? No Baltimore? I feel like somebody had Baltimore. I think Mitch Donuts had Baltimore, so whatevs. Anywho, all right. Here's another tool. Team ownership. You want to get a sense of where the chalk will be. I'm working Draftkings now, so I can look at some of these teams. Kansas City, very low, no chalk there. Colorado, very low. Ownership percentages, Baltimore, very low. Who is everybody on? Cleveland, St. Louis, Chicago, Washington, Houston. None of these teams are on the late slate. Arizona, not super high. What about LAD? Here we go. Okay. All right, let's get our stacks set up. Here we go. All right, we said Arizona. I'm going to go 40%. Just want to Baltimore at Oakland. Oakland, 30%. Arizona, did I do that? Yeah. Oakland, KC, 25. LA, oh, we'll go 30. No. LAD, 20. Seattle, 20. We'll let the tool fill in the rest. So I've got 40, 70, 90, 110, 130. Not enough. Going to raise this up a little bit. If you're going to target these teams, you're going to kind of 50, 35, 30, 30, 3, 6, 9, 12. You know, and then we'll just fill in the rest. We'll do a little 10% here. Let's see. Who don't we want? We don't want really much San Francisco. I don't want a ton of Milwaukee, although, you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of hedge here with Milwaukee just in case Woodruff blows up. I want some Milwaukee exposure, actually. Wait a minute. Woodruff is... from Milwaukee. So we want, yeah, get a little 15%. And then San Diego is the one he's facing, but San Diego's garbage. I'm not going to go so far as to force them. We've got 50, 60, 95, 110, 140, 170, 200. That's too much. Very important, guys, as you're listening to this and you're setting up your stacks. We don't want to hit the full 200%. Too restrictive. Shits and gigs. Okay. Set up my stacks here now. What is going to happen here? And this is very important. If you're watching this video, and hopefully there's enough time to watch this video and set up your own stuff for tonight. If you're watching this video, well, let's get our top stuff set up as well. I'm making 150 lineups. I'll normally do 3 uniques, server side. Okay? Now, if you're watching this video, here's what I want you to understand. How does randomized hitter stacking work right now? What that means, randomized, is the way that the tool matches up the teams against one another is random. We have a controlled version where you specifically set it up in such a way that this team faces that team in your stacks. The randomized is just more, there's a randomization function to it. So we're setting, these numbers here are minimum stack exposures for these teams. What does that mean? It's going to force Arizona stacks, either the 4 or the 3, 45% of the time. And to the percentages that you're specifying here. Since we're double stacking, this number could not exceed 200%, but I don't allow it to get to the full 200% because when you don't have these numbers filled in, it will just stack on its own. And there's nothing wrong with that too. You could just let it roll. And actually you can kind of control the stacks almost with your pitcher selection, which is actually a pretty cool approach, but especially on a shorter slate, but that's not how I'm doing it. But that would work. Okay? Server-side optimization. This is where it gets cool. Now, I've got it already set at 60% max for every player. Very important. Now, I'm going to run it once and then see what happens. I see this guy, for example, this Colorado pitcher, is projecting pretty high 2.76 compared to his peers. So actually, let's run it once. I want to show you how fast this thing runs because this is pretty cool. Check it out. Lineups being generated. Note that the previous version, if we did browser side, this would be a 5-minute long process of generating these lineups and another minute or two at the end for it to actually create the sheet. Brutal, I know, and I'm sorry for that. It's been brutal this year. Just all of the different variables that FanDuel and Draftkings have introduced have really made it difficult to do some of this. Okay, so here we go. We've got our stacks, and lo and behold, my guy that I like the most didn't show up nearly enough, and I've got way more of some of the more expensive guys, and this Brett Anderson guy who seemed okay when we looked him up, but nothing special. So here's the deal. Number one, I look at these projected ownerships, and that is a guide. Number two, DFS Army grade is a guide, right? We want to stick with the higher graded players. Now, Kershaw, fine, but at his salary, it's brutal to really stuff him in that many lineups. Let's go 45% Kershaw. It's fine. This is a guy I like a lot. He did not pop into it as many lineups as I would like. Slap a like on him. Now, Brett Anderson, the difference here, he's very, very cheap. So we got a ton of him. He's in a decent matchup. Let's go 38% there. Merrill Kelly, Arizona, could be fine. Going to leave him alone. Yuki Kazuchi, like him too. All right, Homer Bailey, playable. This guy, I don't even understand. Oh, because he's so cheap, you're getting a lot of lineups. The one good thing about Antonio is if we're stacking Arizona this much, then it's a good idea to get some exposure to him as a hedge, right? Those lineups will not have the Arizona lineup stacked. But that said, we don't want 40% of our lineups with this crazy hedge. Let's say 15%. Okay? Run it again. That's it. Look how quick. The beautiful thing about the new setup is you can make little adjustments and then run it again. Okay, we're getting all our stacks that we want. Run it again. Then I'm going to show you the full process of editing your lineups on DraftKings. So hopefully this will be a good video, helpful top to bottom. I will have another video coming when we launch the newest version, some improvements to the changes to the stacking function. Now we'll keep the old stuff too, but we'll have a new one in there and some cool things. All right, here we go. Now we get into some areas that are interesting. Let's look at our pitchers. You've limited them. Lots of Woodruff, Kershaw, Yushi Kazuki, Antonio, Merrill Kelly, all good, right? Let's actually raise this up a little bit. I want him to show up a little bit more than these other guys. Brett Anderson is fine. Kershaw, let's go 50% with this guy too. I want to get just a good mix. And do I have 3 uniques? Yes. Okay, now let's go position by position because I want to point out some stuff. I don't want to be overexposed to any one player on a 5-game slate, and that does start to happen as you load up on certain teams. So the first thing I'm looking for is I definitely don't like to be overexposed to really cheap players. Not cheap players, guys with very low projections. Yeah, Arizona, Ahmed. Why is he showing up so much? Probably cheap. No. Interesting. 4K, low. That's too much for me. So I'm going to set him to 35%. I'm actually going to set him, that wasn't even low enough. Let's call it 20%. Seattle. Yeah. And finally, outfield. This Chris Davis, 60%, no. Peralta, 47%, no. That's too much for me. I'm going to go 35%, 30, 28, 27, 25. This will change all of my exposures. One last thing I want to show you guys, because the easiest way, this stuff doesn't have to be super complicated. One of the things I just do is I check out the grades. Grades are so good. They're very, very predictive. So I want the players with the highest grades showing up in my lineups. So I go through it one by one. The highest grades, these are the guys I want in my lineups. How do you get more of them? Put a like on them. Put a love on them. Why isn't this guy got a love on him, right? Love him. Love me. You can make a decision, like if they're in the 90s, you put an adore, or 80s a love, low 80s a like, whatever you want to do. But I want to make sure I'm getting more exposure to these better players, highly ranked. Now, why is this guy exploding? He's got a Dodgers. This guy's going to be in every single lineup. Tyler Austin, let's see, first base outfield. Let's see what his deal is. Oh, Tyler Austin. Let's see where he shows up. Odd. Okay. Not that much of him. That's interesting, even though he's got a great points per dollar projection. I actually want more of that. I'm surprised he's not showing up more, but I will limit him. He's on the Dodgers. We'll limit him to 30% as well. But you're going to see a lot of these guys in these lineups because they're showing incredibly positive numbers. Okay, where am I? Again, some of the higher guys, Ketel Marte, gotta put a love on that. I just go through it based on the grade. Again, another guy that we're going to end up with a ton of. I'm going to set him max to 35%. And again, I'm not limiting him because he's bad. I'm limiting him because he's so good that we're going to wind up with way too much of him. Here's another guy we're going to get a lot of in our lineups. I actually really like this situation, batting first. But that's San Francisco. Is that what the hell? He's on San Francisco. Oh, we don't want too much of that. That's why. Okay. Who are they facing? San Francisco. Clayton Kershaw. So we don't want too much of anyone facing Kershaw. It's interesting that that grade is so high. Okay, where are we? Third base. There we go. Love this. Best grade. Super high projection. Like everything about that. Everybody's confirmed. All pretty good spots. San Diego versus Milwaukee. And again, Milwaukee's that pitcher that we like. Whatever. Okay, next up. Shortstop. Again, these are all sorted not by salary. The best ones are going to be these cheaper ones with a high grade. We like these situations. but we like high grades no matter what. But especially this. Matter of fact, I'm going the opposite way. This guy, even though he's highly projected, he's batting first. I like it, but he's taking on a really good pitcher. And this is not a very good grade at all. So I'm actually going to give him the old dislike. That's too high for me. Okay, next up. Outfield. Hey-oh. Yelich. Grades. We're just dealing with these grades. No wonder Chris Davis was popping everywhere. We got Bellinger popping everywhere. These are all very good plays. All right. So many great spots for a lot of these outfielders. You know what? I'm seeing pretty good grades on a lot of these Colorado guys, so you know what? I'm going to raise that up to 15%. Who's facing Colorado as a pitcher? Again, let me go back to that. I can't remember anything. Yeah, Merrill Kelly, fine, but whatevs. So we don't have to avoid Colorado, actually. I'm going to go up to 20% on them. Well, we'll go 15%, but we don't have to avoid their players. 45, 60, 100, 150, 175, 190. Perfect. All right, let's run another 150, see what happens. Boom. Check our exposures. How are we liking it? Looks like what we asked for. Too much UC Kachuki for my taste right here. A little too much Brett Anderson. I'm gonna go down to 30% here. I'm gonna go down to 25% here. I don't love this guy at all. Okay, so let me go back to my pitching group, and yeah, I mean, Kazuki, he's fine. He's super cheap. Woodruff and Kershaw, and the rest of these guys just do not show well at all. Sean Anderson, terrible. How much Sean Anderson? Okay, I don't get any of him. Brett Anderson, Logan Allen, don't know what his deal is. I'm actually going to raise this one up because Logan Allen, I don't know what his deal is, but so, mystery, take it. And we want to stack a little bit against our primary pitchers, against our, we want to have exposure to the pitcher going up against our favorite stacks, because that's how you make the money. When your stack doesn't work out, you're basically hedging. Okay, let's run it one more time. Again, super quick, so I can just run it a few times over and over again. And what I'm going to do next is show you guys how to edit your lineups. I know that's always an issue, so I'm going to do my edit after this. But first we'll check all our exposures, make sure that they're all in a spot where we're comfortable for the slate. Doesn't mean I'm going to win. And again, guys, I'm not the MLB expert here. I don't play the sport a ton. This is the time of year when I'm prepping for football and doing other things. So, but, you know, hey, I know my stuff. So, whatevs, right? We're getting a nice little mix of these different pitchers. I might raise some of these numbers a little bit here as well. I feel like, I don't know. getting a lot more of some of these guys that I think might be a little turdly, but whatevs. Let me just go through every position one by one, make sure we're not overexposing to any one player. Martin Maldonado, KC, whatever. We've got first base. Let's see. Christian Walker. He's, see, yeah, there we go. I can go 30 is fine as well. Yeah, this guy is really good. I look at projected ownership to know who's chalk. Higher projected ownership are chalkier players. It's that simple. So when we're getting the most of the chalkiest guy, that's all good. You know? Fine. And then outfielders, let's see what we got. Steven Tuhati Piscotti. I think we're where we need to be. Dodgers? Yeah. I think we're where we need to be, guys. We're going to run it one last time, and then we're going to edit our lineups. Okay? Now, as I'm running it, I'm going to show you the process of lineup editing. How do we do it? Very simple. I've already made the lineups. I've already uploaded and reserved the contest with a set of lineups from the Domination station. Now, if you look at the upcoming, here, this is it. Starts in 1 hour and 32 minutes, right? One little trick, always check the lineups page. Why? Because when you see a player is marked out, sometimes it's not, they get to it before we do, so you want to check this. Player that was out, that's from the earlier lineup, so I always look them over, but it doesn't matter. So how do we edit our entries? I'm going to show you very simply. Edit entries. You pick the time. We're talking about the 9:40 slate right now. This is a very important step right here. This is one that people miss. You have to name it something that you're going to notice. So I write DK MLB 618, which is today's date. And then we're going to call this one the night slate. Okay? Save it. Shows up right here. And go over to my Google Drive. That was my stuff from before. Put this in. Open it. Open with Google Sheets. Very important. You don't need Excel to do this. Google gives this stuff for free. You just need a Gmail account. Okay. Here are the 100 lineups I made earlier today. Okay? Now, going to go back. Clear this page. Go back to the Domination station, which has completed the lineups of the last run I just did. Let's take a look. Nice little mix of pitchers. Whatever. Okay. Download. All 150. That's just going to be called lineup. The cool thing about this is you don't have to rename it. This number is sequential, so whatever the number is, it's always going to be higher than anything that you have in your system from before. That is a nice little thing that it does, so we're going to save that. Okay. Now, it's in this browser. I'm going to drag it over to here. Let's open it. Open in Google Sheets. Now, the magic is about to happen. Copy. I just highlighted everything. Right-click, copy. I'm going to jump over to my MLB DK 618 night slate sheet. I'm going to click on this here right under the pitcher. Right-click, paste it. Boom. Check it. Check it. Make sure it didn't go past. We see the $1 contest. We've got 150 new lineups. File. Download as CSV. Now, the way it's going to name it is going to take your name, put a little dash, and name it that again. So DK MLB 16-18 night, DK MLB 16-18 night, whatever. Here it is down here. Go back to Draftkings, upload CSV. Now here's a very important step and an error that a lot of people make. I'm going to show you something. If you're not on the edit, but you're the upload lineups page, by accident, this is a problem. This is a mistake a lot of people make. Try to upload the CSV. Try to upload it. What's going to happen? Shit! I'm fucked! Didn't work. No, you're not. This is the edit. This is the upload lineups page, not the edit lineups page. Now go back. There's a difference between this button, upload, and this button, edit. Let's do the edit. Now it says upload, but it's edit. Looks the same, but it's not. Watch this. Boom. Can you imagine if I do this right now and it doesn't work also? I'm gonna look really stupid. Okay, here we go. Now we're gonna actually upload it to the correct screen. But we're not done yet, guys. There's one last step that I want you to do every time you upload lineups. Go to your lineups page. Check the upcoming, and now we're going to go through it and make sure that none of these players has been scratched, because we don't think they are, but let DK double check it for us. So I scroll through this whole thing and just look to see that there's no DTDs in here. Now I'll show you how, once I get past this group of games to, yeah, here we go. This is 1 hour and 53 minutes away. The other one was 1 hour and 26. So this is the late night slate, and you'll see they clearly mark players who have been scratched. 1 hour and 26, though, I'm not seeing anybody. And that's it. Very simple, very easy. Just edited or created 150 stacked lineups for tonight's slate. Now, if you're wondering why other people are winning, DFS Army members are winning, it's because the tool is designed, if you use it correctly, to set the lineups up for you in the correct way. Fully stacked, very easy. Not only that, but it's going to mix and match which teams these stacks work out to. I use 3 uniques. Almost for every slate, doesn't matter. Use 3 uniques. And the way that this works out is it's going to force different teams, different stacks against one another. So, you know, you'll have some with Baltimore against Arizona, and Colorado and Seattle, and LA and Seattle, and Milwaukee and Oakland. We'll have the 4, we'll have the 3. They'll be all mixed up. So if any of those teams actually go off as an offense, we're going to get full exposure to those teams. And hopefully if 2 of them go off, we've got their players matched up. And then hopefully we have that matchup in 150 lineups 7 or 8 times. And then hopefully we hit the correct players in that matchup to win the monies. We want to win the cash. All right, guys. That's it for this one. Enjoy. This will be live on the Dom Station tomorrow, the server-side optimization. And you'll see me back again with another video when we actually launch a whole set of new tools for stacking that I've come up with, and we'll see how that works out, and some display tools and like massive updates to the Domination Station. I'm also working on major changes for the NFL season. I've got college football coming in. We've got a lot of stuff going on for the Dom. I'm supposed to be chilling right now. I kid you not. We are not chilling. We are all in on continuing to improve all this stuff. So stay tuned for all of that. And in the meantime, good luck tonight, everybody.